Okay, the recording is going.
The recording. Okay, we'll call a meeting to order. And the first topic on the agenda is the minutes of the previous meeting. Has everyone seen the minutes and gone over them? Have any questions?
No.
So,
I saw it. I don't have any questions.
yeah. So just for future references, this is the first time we've done these. What I will do is I try to prepare these right after the meeting so I can, while it's fresh in my mind, and I will send them out soon after the meeting so you guys can have them, and then I'll send them out again before, we vote on at the next meeting, so everyone has a chance to look at them and give me feedback. So if there's any discrepancies, we can work on those, but I'm trying to do them as soon as I can.
Okay.
Other than I think in the meetings, the only thing of consequence last week was the voting of positions.
Right.
I think the rest of it was just talking about what we would do with this meeting. So,
right.
I move that they are accepted as published. I don't know if that's a thing, if we require a reading.
We don't have to read them, but I think we have to require that there'd
be a motion
to accept them, right?
Yeah. So we've got a motion to accept from Steve?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
All right. Have a motion made and seconded to accept the meetings of our last meeting, accept the minutes of our last meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous for all.
So Rick made the motion and Franco seconded. I forgot I'm the secretary. I have to write this down.
Steve made the motion. Yeah, Steve made
Yeah.
the motion and
Steve
Franco
made the motion and
seconded.
Franco seconded. Okay.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the creation of the mission statements. I know you've all probably looked. I looked at the ones you sent out or from Medway and the different towns, and there's an awful lot of good ideas on there. So I'll open that up, see what you guys think.
I think the first thing is we need to look at this, what the state says our charge is, that background on historical commissions in Massachusetts and what their power, it has the establishment, the powers and the duties. So I think what the duties are what we need to, if we're going to have a mission statement, it should clarify what our duties are. If for those of you that don't have it, do you want me to just read the first few paragraphs of this?
I did take a peek at it.
Okay.
And I did see a lot of that language pop up in some of them. Myself, I tend to gravitate towards things that are less restrictive. So I liked Franklin's, which was not very restrictive at all, but it kind of set out sort of a broad brush of what they want to do.
Because that gives you more flexibility and instead of
Okay. Have you seen everybody seen the Franklin's? I
can read you what Franklin said because it's just one
Okay.
paragraph. It's really one sentence, two couple sentences. The activities of the commission encompass many areas, including research on places of historical or architectural value, working with the state archaeologists in conducting surveys and reporting on sites, supporting educational activities, establishing historic districts, providing information for genealogical searches, and operating and maintaining the Franklin Historical Museum. So that's, I think one thing that we haven't done traditionally that I've heard from a few people is the preservation of buildings and what, well, your fire engine, Rick, is a good example of that, of preserving things.
Yes,
So
and I think I know if everybody must know that, different towns, they put those little signs on houses, historical, they'll put that sign thing, a historical thing. And I know right across from Little General there in South Bellingham is a little house that with a brick front and everything. And that was a schoolhouse.
It was a schoolhouse, yeah. We found that's mentioned in the book that we wrote. Marjorie got to the bottom of that one. Yep.
Yeah, it was a schoolhouse. So maybe somewhere down the road when we get ourselves settled, houses like that should probably have a star medallion of some kind.
That one's a home right now, right?
Yes, it is. It's a private home.
It's a private home.
Oh, did I just?
Yep, no, you're back. Everyone, we're all getting the Emergency management call.
Getting the emergency. Yeah,
There's mine.
I just got it on my phone.
And I can't, I mean, I can mute this one, hang on.
Call from emergency. Call.
I saw it on my cell phone and then I saw it on my main house phone. It's okay, sorry.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah,
So-
maybe somewhere down the road we can have little historical
Yeah.
badges or whatever
Yeah.
for houses, medallions,
Yeah. So
like
I
the
guess,
Eldridge's house across
yeah, right, yeah.
the street was a
Well,
library.
and
wasn't it?
even Tony Curry's, the liquor store was the general store. You know, that was a
Yeah, Fair store.
yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
there's definitely a. So I guess as far as writing getting a mission statement, should a couple of us get together to draft something that we propose to everybody else? Want like a subcommittee to do that, or
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
because then we can just bounce ideas off of each other, then bring something back to the group.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds like a good idea. Rather than trying to write one right now.
Right?
you know,
Yeah. That's not.
that would be time consuming and
Yeah.
so is anyone interested in drafting a
Sure.
to draft up our
I'll be happy to join that committee.
I'll join that one too. We can just email each other what we have, then we can go from there.
I think if someone makes a draft and then
Mhm.
shares it with all the members of the committee, and then you guys tighten up a mission and then share it with everybody else. And then, at a meeting, we can review it and tweak it to what we want it to be.
yeah.
So that's Franco and I.
That sounds good.
Sounds good. And whatever time they need to draft it up, if you have it for the next meeting, we'll add it to the agenda. That's
If we come up with something, I think it would be perfectly fine to send it to the group. We're a very small group.
yeah.
So we could just circulate it amongst us so that, it'll just be a matter of, yay or nay when we formally meet.
True.
I think we can work on it as a group, but we can't vote. Obviously, we can't adopt it until we're at a public meeting.
Right.
Sounds good. That sounds good on the mission statement. Now, you said the creation of
A collection policy.
process.
Yeah, so a collection policy would be for the things in the museum. For my opinion, like the library, we have a collection policy. What kind of books do we buy? What kind of things? My opinion is there's a lot of stuff in there that we don't know if it has any relevance to Bellingham or not. And I know Margaret has been working on an inventory. She actually, all of the things that have the tags on them with a number and a thing and a location or whatever, she has an Excel spreadsheet. Yeah, she has an Excel spreadsheet that she's going through to make sure that all there are written documents that just have an outline of what the item is, and those are transferred into an Excel spreadsheet. So when she has the Excel spreadsheet done, I think going through the building and trying to match those things up so we know the things that are inventoried, what they are, because those have the sheet she has who the donor was or some kind of information about what all those items are. So those are things that we kind of know what they are. There's a lot of things I think in there that don't have any inventory. So finding out what those are and what their relevance is, and that'll be a little more of a project, I think. But
Well, I mean, we've been trying to do that since Ernie passed.
yeah.
So
I think what a collection policy would do is from this point forward, this is what we're going to accept. So you wouldn't end up with a lot more things that are in this situation. And then you can go back through the rest of the inventory and say, okay, do we know what this is? Or if we don't know what it is, or I give just one example. Like I saw like old coffee cans in there, it's like everybody has old coffee cans, unless they're somebody's relevant to Bellingham's old coffee can. And if we don't know what that is, why, how many things can we hang on to? That's my my take on the collection. So I would like to be actually involved in the collection. I think we ought to do the same thing, is have a committee of people working on a collection policy. And this, I think, will take a lot longer than a mission statement. I think it is a lot more discussion and a lot more back and forth among the members as to what the priorities are.
Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah, because there's so much stuff in there, and I think with this COVID-19 is keeping everybody away from we're away from the museum. I've been in there like once or twice, and it's, you know, haven't been able to go in and really go through anything or really know where anything is. You know, with Margaret's very good at, you know, her categorizing and stuff, and then letting us know what's going on. And Priscilla Compton also mentioned to me today, I asked her if she could get in touch with you, Bernadette, and when she's around, and because she's got notes and, you know, secretary's notes from years past.
Okay.
She hand wrote everything. So.
And that was, you know, if I could just get those from her, I could scan them. The library has I could just sheet feed scan them, and then they'd be, at least they could be shared with other people that want to see what they are. Yeah. Well, I am going to, the minutes of these meetings are going to be on the town's website under the Historical Commission page. There's a place to put meeting agendas and minutes of meetings. So they're going to be stored there from now on. So they'll be on the town website. After I couldn't, the agendas are there. The minutes I couldn't put up until after they were approved. You only post them once they've been approved.
Is there any way that we can get Margaret's information into a place where we can all have access to it?
It's in an Excel spreadsheet. I could take it and put the Excel spreadsheet on a Google Doc and make it a Google Sheets, and we could share it that way. Do you guys use Google Sheets?
I can, sure.
Yeah. I mean, that would be an easy way for it to be shared. It's on, you know, I don't know if the Historical Commission, it's on a laptop from what I know. So I don't know if the Historical Commission has a folder on the town servers or not. But that's still, you guys wouldn't have access to that. I would, because I can, but I think the best place maybe that we set up a Google, once we have the email, generic email, maybe we could set up a Historical Commission Gmail that we could share, and numerous people could log into it and just see whatever's there. And for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, we'll get you on board.
Thank you.
How does that sound? Does that sound good, Steve, to get him on a?
Sure.
I think that's the easiest way to share a spreadsheet is, you know, not that we couldn't just, you know, email it, but then if someone changes something, everyone can't see it. If it's in a Google Doc, everybody has access to it, and any changes.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking. Like I you know, there are times, you know, after work, I can stop at the Historical Museum and start typing stuff up, pulling tags if there, you know, if there's blank spots in there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Anybody should be able to just add to it
Right.
to get some headway.
So there is a laptop. I haven't seen it. I think the stuff Margaret took home, I think she did on her own computer at home. So I guess we ought to figure out, see what's on this laptop and how, you know, could we, yeah. So I guess that's our next thing, is to find out what the capability, what's on the laptop. And I think it's just stored there. I don't think it.
Yeah, it's stored there. It's in the desk, bottom right-hand drawer. So.
Okay.
And it's funny too, because I know what some of the stuff there is and who did it. Like I saw a bunch of pictures of my mother and some of her friends. You know, I was digging through the 250th stuff. So.
Yeah. And that's good. The more people, and the other thing we can do with the Facebook page, if there is something that we think we could just put out there, hey, does anyone know who these people are, or does anyone know what this is? Margaret's coming in to the meeting. Now that would be
Cool.
Hi, Margaret.
Hello.
Hey, sorry I'm late.
That's okay. So we were just talking about the laptop, Margaret, and so when the spreadsheets that you're doing on your home computer?
Laptop. It is my home.
It's your home one, right? So it's not the one that belongs to the commission. That's kept at the museum.
It is.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Do you need to know where it is?
Well, I think Franco just told us where it was. So
Oh, okay.
we need to, if there's login information or anything like that to get into it, I guess we'll need to know that. But we can
There's a password you have to do.
yeah. Okay. So we can discuss that at some other time to get that, so we can see what its capabilities are and what's on there. Okay. Is anyone else interested in? So first of all, I don't know if you guys know, so Pam Johnson is in on this call with us. Pam has actually submitted an application to be the 7th member of the commission. So that's why she's sitting in tonight. I invited her because she is, Dennis said they won't be appointing new members till after the election. So that's tomorrow. So I don't know when the next election meeting. So welcome, Pam. I probably should have said that earlier.
That's okay. Thank you.
So I can start working on something because I have experience doing this, and maybe then when we get a draft done, maybe see if people want to jump in. I don't know.
So that's why I had said right from the beginning when we started, I want to surround us, the commission, with people having a like mind of preserving Bellingham's history. And with these people, we're going to have an enormous amount of talent that we can tap into to get things done. Like, I know how to turn a computer on, and there's not much skill in doing that. But when it comes to Excel and spreadsheets and Google this and Google that, forget it.
Yeah.
That's beyond what I know. So, I mean, the thing is we gotta open up the people that can really take this commission and take it places with, like you taught, digitizing stuff.
Yeah.
To me, that word doesn't mean anything. I haven't got a clue what digitizing is all about.
Well, let's see. When I was talking about if Priscilla has those old minutes, I could scan them and make PDFs out of them, so anybody could open them on a computer. So then they're there forever. Well, as long as PDF exists, which I think will be a long time. But that's it makes them more accessible than they are on a piece of paper that is in a binder somewhere or wherever it is.
One of my goals for digitizing was, which would be the next level after the spreadsheet, would be to get it into a relational database so that objects could be cross-referenced against people and places. That was kind of the thing, was objects, people, and places are kind of what history is made of.
Right. So you're talking like an access database where you could attach or something.
Yeah, could be access. Yep.
I'm not great at data, but I can do a little bit of access work. And that if the town has Microsoft, it probably does. We probably can get a license for an access database.
No, that'd be great. Yeah, I mean, I'm way back at the turn of the last century. I was a software engineer. My undergrad was in computer science. So,
because that's a great way to do inventory, because you can have a description and then a photograph of the thing, so you know which one it is. So, and we've done that basically for the library. We have 64 desks. If you just have an inventory that says a 6-foot desk, there's 10 of them in the building. So having a picture of it identified, and then you can also do numbering. Also helps. Obviously coding things with a number help you can find what you have. But I think and then if it is digitized, you could actually do some online things with it. You can actually, put it on a website where people could browse these things. And while we're
kind of the next step after that.
What was that, Margaret?
Oh, I was going to say that what he's saying merges into what I'm working on right now.
Right, absolutely.
I have those pictures that I found, and I'm making a pictorial index.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm doing the same thing but it's with Excel.
Mm-hmm.
And
right. Well, you can
I did want to.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm running into a problem that I need to run by the committee. There are some other things up there that are labeled inventory. And of course, everything is repetitive. So I do need somebody else to look at that stuff with me and tell me what my next step should be, because I've got the pictorial index almost done with the pictures that I had. And then I also need, when I made up the Excel worksheet, I put a category for location and condition. So that means that somebody has to find these items and assess them that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I need a couple of people to help me to locate things too. So if I can just talk to somebody in the next few days to
so these are things
to point me in the right direction, I guess.
These are the things that have the tags on them that are numbered already, or just the things that are on the sheets that have numbers?
I think it might be both.
Okay.
I think I'm not quite sure because I haven't looked for these items in the museum.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know that many of them have been repeated. So, we just have to be able to sort that out. And I need some direction on the easiest way to do that.
I can probably help, but I'm not sure what day. I'd have to look at my calendar and I can get back to you, Margaret. And maybe,
That's fine.
Rick, maybe it'd be good if it's a day you could meet us there, just so we have another person on board that knows where we're going.
Sounds good.
I can come in and help too, as long as I know a day.
Okay, I'll just send out an email to everyone letting you know when I'm available, and then it'll probably be during the workday, probably some morning, and see who can join us.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Do you think I should print off as much of the Excel sheet as I have done, or should I just continue?
I wouldn't print it yet. Let's see what it looks like before we print it. Use paper. Let's see what it looks. What the next steps are.
I'm
how we're
thinking of
gonna
that
use it.
for that meeting.
Oh, for the meeting. Is there a printer at the museum?
Yeah,
There is a printer, and and I can bring my computer up, but there's no, there's no
Or
internet, but I can print it up there.
you could email it if you want to email it to me from thing, and then I could print it too. If you want to email it to me.
Okay, so when we set up the meeting, however far I've gotten by then, I'll send you.
Perfect.
And,
Okay.
yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Could you send that to me or forward it my way? Just curious to see where we're at.
I think Bernadette
can
could
do
do
that.
that. I
I'll
don't
forward
have
it.
the addresses, so
Yeah, I'll
Bernadette
forward
will.
I'll forward it to you.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Um,
Actually, while we're talking about collection policy and inventory, there's one other thing I want to talk about. I got an email today from the Mass Memories Roadshow that the library was supposed to be hosting in April that got postponed.
Mhm.
I got an email from the one at UMass Boston today saying that more than likely they won't be hosting any until the spring of 2021. Because they're affiliated with UMass Boston and the colleges are still all up in the air. But she does want to start to do some kind of virtual thing so we could submit some things and try to get some things up online ahead of time. So I haven't really read through the details of that, but I'll take a look at it and see, and I can tell her I'll bring it to the July meeting, and maybe we can start doing some virtual digitization for that project. So the Mass Memories Roadshow is a project of UMass Boston, and they do a community scanning project where they go out to cities and towns in Massachusetts and ask the residents to bring in photographs that are meaningful to them. And then volunteers interview those people about the significance of the photograph. And then it goes up onto a website where it is shared with people throughout the world because it's on the web. So Bellingham could have pictures from, if you just Google Mass Memories Roadshow, you can actually go in and see what other towns they've done. They've done a whole bunch. I mean, they've done most of the ones around Boston. And we were next, and then the pandemic hit. So, and that she basically said she doesn't think it's gonna happen in the fall. We'll be first for the spring of 2021. So that will give us a lot more time to actually plan it and maybe get it to be a real collaboration between, it is a library, the library applied for it, the library is paying for it, but if we could have the commission as, on board to help spread the word, that would be wonderful. We'd get a way better project, I think. So I will bring that back. I'll bring that back to the next meeting after I have time to read what she says, but I'll definitely express an interest in doing some kind of a virtual, I think we just, I don't know if we email the photographs to them and we'll figure out what that is when I read the details, but I just got the email from her today. But this will give us a lot of time to plan a good in-person one too. So I'm excited about that. Because it gives you an opportunity to digitize things not things that the commission or the museum owns, but things that people in the community have that would never get our hands on any other way other than them bringing them to this thing.
Now, speaking of sort of reaching out to folks, do we have a list of sort of supporters, interested parties? Is that something we maintain? There must be at least an address list for Crimpville Comments.
Right. I know the Crimpville Comments list does exist.
Yeah, you should have a physical list somewhere in the desk.
Yeah.
I don't remember which drawer that one is.
Margaret, is that a digital list? Is that an Excel sheet too?
Yeah, I think I have an Excel sheet of that, but at the library, you'll find it. If you're sitting at the desk to your right, there's like a card catalog there.
Okay.
One of those drawers is a Crimpville Comment mailing list.
Okay. So that needs to be electronic, so you can do something.
Oh,
That's-
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's new though, I just did that.
Right, yeah.
But I don't remember if I started it on Excel or not.
Yeah, okay. The other thing that I'd like as far as the list, I think the mailing list, the list you showed me, Margaret, was a lot of people on it, and a lot of them from out of state. And I guess my question is, if we're spending dollars to mail this to people, are they still interested? Are they, I think we ought to do an opt-in to the list, kind of, the next, maybe we do another Crimfield comments and put we want to make sure you're still reading this. Please contact us to stay on our mailing list. Kind of like people do with catalogs. So you don't, because spending money to mail something to someone who may or may not be.
We did that in the last comments and perhaps the one before that we asked people to let us know, but we never heard anything.
Okay.
But we also don't know if they're actually getting it because it's not mailed first class. I don't think it's third class. And so if it's non-deliverable, they just throw it away.
Right, so you don't get anything back.
So we have no feedback at all.
So it might be actually good to try to do even just a mailing to those people of not even the full Crimfield comments, just like a postcard saying, so then we could get them back if we know which, at least know what addresses are invalid.
Yeah.
Right, like a self-addressed thing that they can just put a stamp on, send it back to us, right?
Right, because just for your information, I asked Dennis for a copy of the budget. So the commission gets $4,500 every year from the town. This year we had only spent $1,499.20. So I don't know if they put a freeze on this budget or not. They did it on a lot of other town departments, but maybe we could ask for a small amount before the end of June just to get a mailing out to those people to say it's going to, in the long run, it's going to save us money because we'll be able to figure out who those people are, and get, do a first class, I don't know, postcard mailing or just a letter with a return envelope. I don't know what. Pam, you might have input on this, and not that you're on the, but because you're the, what do you think would be a good way to try to figure out?
Do a postcard I would actually do the postage paid return that way. Because if you ask people to put a stamp on it, they might not bother. But if you put the prepaid postage on it, you only pay if they send it back.
Right. So we mail it in an envelope, but it's a postcard for them to return to us.
Right.
That would
And
probably be an
post it
expensive way
on
to
the
go.
postcard. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I guess I have to find out if this budget is frozen or not, which I didn't ask. So, and if not, maybe it's how we spend the beginning of our next year's budget because it will. I think in the long run it will save us some money, and just you have a better list. If things are going into the ether, that's not a good that's not a good use of funds. And on that same topic, what I mentioned last time is I think we ought to have some electronic newsletter. I don't think we should get rid of the print Crimfield comments, absolutely not. But I think having some kind of electronic newsletter is the way to go, that people could just sign up online. It costs almost nothing. I looked at Constant Contact is for up to 500 contacts is $20 a month. So for $240 a year, we could reach up to 500 people every single month, or however often we wanted to send them an email, which is pretty reasonable.
Right.
I was wondering too on that is that if we could have a spot monthly in the Bellingham Bulletin. Yeah. I was thinking
now that you have connections.
I don't know how that works, but I mean, I see a lot of things in the Bellingham Bulletin, monthly columns or something. I mean, if that's something in the future, the Historical Commission would have I don't know, the Historical Corner or Bellingham Historical Commission.
So if it came from a business, then it's a paid thing. But since it's an organization of the town, then that would be just come under the heading of public service. So I mean, as always, it would be based on space availability. I wouldn't be able to guarantee it every month, but most likely it would go in every month.
I mean, if we tried to keep it to like a reasonable, not even a third of a page,
I mean,
a short article with maybe a photograph or two.
Issue.
Right, yeah.
Even if
I just have to kind of put that disclaimer in there.
Right. Yeah.
Even if it's just an old picture of Steve
Actually,
the
you know what?
mill, up in North Bellingham that he he was looking for a picture of that mill for a long time. Now, if you posted that and say, hey, do you know what the ruins on Hartford Avenue are? They're from the Drake Mill.
Or even more interactive, where is this, you know?
Where is this? Yeah.
I had actually talked with Ernie a long time ago about having a column in the paper, so that would be something that would be, I think, a good thing to add. And in fact, the 300th anniversary committee they were doing a trivia question every month, and a lot of the times it involved an old photograph and, you know, did you know what this is, or a question that concerned the photograph. And they were doing that every month. They were coming up with a trivia question. So it was mostly historically based.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, because that could actually engender a lot of conversation even through the Facebook.
Right.
You know,
So even,
post
I
that,
think,
yeah.
because after it's published in the bulletin, then we share it on the Facebook page to try to get, you know, did you see this? Did you see
Right.
this in this month's bulletin? Because that would help. Yeah. You know,
Yep.
take a
That
picture
would
of
be
the take a picture of the listing, the posting, and try to get.
Yeah. Like, I mean, we've got so much history in the town, and you know, it's like the people aren't going to run to the museum to go look for it.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Right.
like we got to give them a little bit every month or whatever it is, or like a newsletter or whatever.
And I think if you do give them something and say there is more of this at the museum, you actually might get them to come. That's, you know, that's, you gotta give them a reason to want to go.
Yeah, like you want to come see the buckboard or whatever it is there that brought so and so all the way to Boston every day, whatever it was. You know, we got in the middle of the museum.
Can I ask, who has the radio or TV on in the background? Is that, seems a little bit, I'm just,
I think I might.
oh, okay.
I'll
Sorry.
turn it on.
Thank you. Just a little disruptive.
Yeah.
No, I don't hear it. Oh, no, there it is.
So where are we with the Facebook thing, by the way?
Well, there's occasionally things going up on it, not much. But that's another, we could share the article there. We could once, if we made a electronic newsletter, you could actually share it on the Facebook page too, and that's how to get more people to sign up for the electronic newsletter.
Yeah.
I mean, think about limiting things, because there are people that are not Facebook users. So just doing things on Facebook doesn't reach everybody. You need to go beyond that. Absolutely. But I think taking that, because even if that Crimfield Comments mailing list said, you know, would you prefer an electronic or a print newsletter, and have them, or both, and then you can, you know, they can have them sign up for an electronic one at the same time, and that might save some money on postage if you had less people you had to physically mail it to. Because I can do Constant Contact. I can do a basic PDF newsletter if we need a PDF newsletter. I would just want people to contribute content to me to get it done, you know? But have to decide what is.
Right now, we're kind of like, we're tossing
can-
the ideas back and forth. We're setting the stage. I think the actual development will happen,
Yeah,
you know, somewhere down the road.
right, absolutely.
Because it's almost like we're sitting with a big pizza and we're trying to eat the whole thing, one person. You know?
Yeah, we gotta prioritize things, definitely.
Yeah, it's like,
I think where there is some money left in the budget, if we can spend it, it might be a good idea to spend it on getting this postcard mailing, or even if not, if it's next year, the beginning of next year's budget, July 1's budget, spend the money on doing that. So that would be something, I think that makes sense, because in the long run, you're tightening up your list. You don't have people on your list that are no longer interested. And and you're getting it, and you're spending money on something that people really want to get.
yeah. I mean, if everybody's in agreement, I mean, we could tighten that up right now as far as, you know, making the decision to do that, you know, send out to the people who wants to stay on the list, who wants, you know.
And it might take some time to do, because if this list isn't digital, well, Margaret says it probably is. If it's not at least an Excel spreadsheet, it's going to be more time consuming. Someone's got to type all this stuff in to make it before we can send it too. So, but if you think the list is a spreadsheet, or at least a Word document, Margaret? You don't.
I really can't comment. I don't remember. I think it is, but I don't know. You know where you should look is if you're sitting at the desk, in back of you, there are two tall filing cabinets.
Mhm.
The one on your right, there's a drawer that says Crimfield Comments. And that's where I would look
Okay,
first.
so it's a list, okay. Because that could be something, maybe we could get a volunteer just to type the list for, put something out on Facebook. Hey, we're looking for someone to take these things and make us, a list for us. I'm sure.
But is it the list that exists now? Was it typed before or handwritten or something? Because I mean, we can scan it in with OCR software.
Yeah.
Instead of
I
somebody-
think what I saw looked like it was meant to be formatted as labels. So it looked, I don't know if it was a Word document or whatever, but it was.
Yeah, it's Word. I'm pretty sure it's in my computer in Word.
So, well, if it's in Word, I don't know how to make Word into a database. But if it's actually as a Word document, you could just print the labels out and just slap the labels on the envelopes for the first, and not worry about making the database to begin with.
Actually, those labels are already printed and they're in that filing cabinet I just told you about.
Well, that would, okay.
Well, if you have the Word document and somebody gets it to me, I can tinker with it and see if I don't know what it looks like, but
Yeah.
depending on how it's formatted, I might be able to write something that'll just pull it off into Excel.
Perfect. Okay.
Hmm.
Because I think that would be, so I actually, I'm going to make a motion that we work on cleaning up the Crimfield Comments mailing list by sending out a postage paid return postcard to all of the current subscribers. And whether it happened this fiscal year or the beginning of next fiscal year, depending on funds.
All right. Do I have a second to Bernadette's
I'll
motion?
second.
All right. Franco is seconding. All those in favor? All those opposed? None. All right. It's unanimous.
So Franco, and it was Franco and
You
second?
made the motion.
I
and
made the motion and then Franco seconded it.
Yeah.
Okay. Postcard. Okay. That's a really good first step because that will clean up one thing pretty, if it's something they just have to check off, yes, I still want it, pretty simple for them to do it. And maybe the other thing we could do with that is we could ask people to provide an email address if they have one on the postcard, because then that would give us another contact point so, well, we can, but I'll bring back, someone has to draft this postcard. I mean, I can
Well,
kind of do it, but
I'm not a member yet, but
right.
if they rubber stamp me, then I can obviously do the postcard for
Well,
you.
we could do, and Pam, maybe I could be the commissioner member, and you and I could work together on it as the volunteer at this point.
Sure.
Does that
Sure.
work? Does that work for you guys?
Sure.
And then
Good to
because
me.
if we can do it with this fiscal year's money, it will save us more money for next year. Whether that's available to us or not, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, while we're on the idea of talking about money, I'm talking to Priscilla Compton tonight. She said that I guess her daughter when she was around. I guess she's out in Ohio now or in Florida. They were talking about having a historical commission, like friends of the historical commission,
Fundraising group.
because the historical commission can't raise money, but an organization called like the Friends of the Historical Commission, they can go out and raise money, like if we need money. But that's something to think of, because I guess they wanted to do it, but Marcia didn't want anything to do with that.
I just got a message from my staff that Bob Donahue can't get into the meeting. He's trying to get in. Do you want to just call him, Rick, and have him listen in?
I would. Let's see.
Oh, you're on your phone?
I'm on my phone.
Okay, you know what? I'll do it. I'll call him and see if he can listen through. No, because I've got headset on, so he won't be able to hear through me.
If you want to get me his phone number.
Okay, I'll private message you his phone number, Rick. I mean, Steve. If you
Okay.
could, yeah.
Yeah, because I got rid of my house phone, so I don't
Yeah.
even have.
Did you send that?
Yep, I just private message it. Through Zoom, the chat, through the chat feature.
Got it.
Mm.
Yeah, it was 6:30. 6:28. So we're 10 minutes ago.
Right. I'll be right back.
Yep. So where were we before that? Sorry.
We had just completed the motion on that list.
Oh yeah, on the list. Okay.
The
Yep.
list. Yeah.
So
So
and Pam and
verify
I
the
will
list.
work together on drafting that. And if it has to wait till July, we can bring the draft back to the next meeting, right? If it has to wait till we spend the money in July.
And then I made a mention about that the Friends of
Oh, the
Historical.
Friends. Yeah.
It's somewhere down the road. This is something that we're not, creating
Right.
tonight
So-
or even in the next few months, but
Yeah.
it's
So
an
just
option that's out there for us.
To do that and make the donations tax deductible, you have to apply to the IRS to become a nonprofit. So it really would involve having someone involved that really wants to lead another organization. Like
Yeah.
my Friends of the Library group has a board too. So you need a group of people that are interested in doing
Yeah.
that. I mean, I
Like
have
the
some
other-
experience setting up the nonprofits, so I could help them with the paperwork, but it's not to make the donations non tax deductible, which you would want them to be. You need to get IRS
501(c)(3).
C3 approval, right?
Yeah, it's like the Bellingham Elder Service Group.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Similar, but that's somewhere down the road. We're not gonna see that one next month or two anyway. But the next thing on the agenda, I just want to bring it out to the board. It's a real sore spot for me, being a firefighter and being around forever.
Bob, this is Steve Joannis from the Historical Commission. I'm going to put you on speaker so that everybody can hear you, okay?
So I'll hold off a second here.
Yes. Yep. I'm going to join you to it so you can hear it, okay? Okay. Can you hear Bob? Bob, can you say something?
Yeah, I can hear Steve quite well. There's no problem with that.
Okay.
I'm annoyed as hell that I can't get into this meeting like everybody else. Something is wrong somewhere.
Well, don't feel bad. I couldn't get in on my computer. I had to do it on my phone, Bob. So,
So you're along with me. Somewhere there's a number messed up, or somewhere in the connection between the meeting and Bernadette. I guess I don't know.
I don't know.
We're glad you're here now.
Yeah, I'm glad we got you now. I'm
glad to be here, but I'm eternally annoyed that I can't be with you. So we need to straighten this out.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll get to meet face to face very shortly and have a meeting, because we're not a large group. It's not like we're not like a group of 20 people, or
I understand.
We're a small group. So being a small group, I can't see why, very soon we should be able to meet face to face and be done with this Zoom stuff. But the other thing I wanted to bring up tonight, just to the commission, is the fact of the preservation of 00. And for those of you who don't know what 00 is, it's the very first fire truck Bellingham ever bought. It's a 1930 Ford model, I don't know, whatever you call them, model A, T, B, whatever. It's a 1930 fire truck. It's the very first truck that Bellingham ever owned. And right now it's sitting in a garage on Pearl Street, and it's rotting away. And to me, it's breaking my heart to see it, because they had somebody go in there and sandblasted, wanted to start restoring it, but never primed it. So now the bare metal is rusting like crazy. And it's got a history. 1930, Chief George Grant was the first fire chief in the town of Bellingham. He was only fire chief for 6 months. And he was the first line of duty death in the fire department. I got through our records at the fire department. He died right around 1930, going to a chimney fire in North Bellingham. he caught pneumonia riding in the open cab of the fire truck, and he died. So to me, still having this fire truck in our possession, in the town's possession, and being also was connected to the first fire department line of duty death. To me, it's a very important piece of history that needs to be preserved. How we do it, I'm not an expert. I know, I don't know if there's historical grants out there, if there's money or whatever, but everything is there. We've got people that will do it, but of course everything takes money. So, but I've got pictures. I took pictures of it. I went and see it this past Sunday. In fact, yesterday I was there taking pictures of it, and like I said, everything is restorable, but it comes with a price. But I just wanted to bring it.
Has anybody given you an estimate of what it would cost?
Not monetarily. All I've been told is that it's going to take a long time. It could take. One of the guys that's really interested in restoring it is is Jimmy Marset. Now his father worked for the highway department for years. He made his career there, and his brother was a lieutenant on the fire department, Mike Marset. And
I know the name.
Yeah, Jimmy Marset is the.
Yeah, but I don't know now.
He's an excellent
Pearl
bodyman.
Street?
It's sitting in the garage on Pearl Street from when the town of Bellingham took the mill for taxes. All the property that was there belongs now to the town of Bellingham. So there's 4 garages, and 2 of the garages have fire trucks in it, and the other 2 are empty. But the problem is somewhere down the road soon, hopefully we can find a spot for it and get it out of there, because there's no heat, and I don't even know if the roof leaks in there or not, but it's not an ideal environment for it to be able to be, to prevent further deterioration. It should be in a climate control type garage, but there again, I don't have an answer of where we could put it. But I just wanted to bring it to the commission's attention that we still have it, and it would be a great loss to the town if we let it go. If it let it go to a scrapyard. So I just want you to ponder it. I'm not looking for answers from anybody, because it's not a easily answered thing. But we do have a piece there that, like I say, that's going to need preservation, and I don't know how we can do it. But if we work together, I'm sure we can do it.
I think we ought to look. Are there grants? I was just thinking, like, maybe there is something for preserving fire history or something from some national organization or something. I think we need to look what's there and see if there's a way to get it done. Yeah. And if not, does it come down to fundraising? Is another, do we do fundraising for it? Is that could we make a message?
I know all of you see on TV, you see these houses of these mansions and stuff that are all being restored under a preservation trust or whatever. And I just don't know what's out there for the preservation of historic, buildings, historic artifacts of a town.
I wonder if it'd be worth reaching out to like the Mass Historical Society or something to see if they might know. I'll do some research on this and see what I can find out.
Because didn't you mention there was the Mass, was it Historical Alliance or something that was?
Yes, that was the one that was doing. They were doing like webinars and education.
Zooms, I noticed.
What's that?
They have Zoom meetings.
Yes, yeah.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
Come up on Facebook.
Yeah. So there probably is. I think we just have to tap a lot of different sources and see what we can come up with, and see if we could. It would be great if we could get it done and keep it in the town's, raise the funds to do it, and it is still the town's property. Because wouldn't it be great if you're having a parade to have a 1930 fire engine as part of,
I've taken it to many parades in the
Yeah.
past. When
Yeah.
when I was on the fire department and stuff, we went to many parades with that truck, and we
So
came back.
when did it really go into disrepair? Start going into disrepair?
Oh, let's see. I've been retired 18 years, so it's been a good 20 years or so. Nobody's really done anything with it. 20, 25 years.
And the commission owns this, so it's not the town that owns it. The commission.
I don't
owns
know
it?
if the commission owns it, because the way originally it's set on the side of the vehicle. It's all been sandblasted off, but it was donated to the Station 1 Association, Fire Association at Station 1 in South Bellingham by Wazel Cornicky, the chief at the time, because I guess he owned it. But it was loaned, like on loan to us, that we could use it and whatnot. And then it was stored in, different firefighters' garages and stuff like that over time. But then as they didn't have any place to put it, they said, well, instead of letting it go, the Historical Commission somewhere along the line, I don't want to say took ownership, but took custody, a custodial thing of the engine. So, like, I don't know if the town of Bellingham can say they own it. I don't.
Yeah, I don't. Okay.
Because I think the Cornicky family is the one that still owns it, but it's like
so like on loan to the. So yeah.
Like on loan for life or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Okay. I think that would be a big question for before we could do something to it. We have to make sure we have the authority to do it too. Is it? What is the ownership? Is the Cornicky family still around?
One of the Cornickys lives up in New Hampshire. Dick Ranieri, a former fire chief, knows him. In fact, he was with me yesterday when we went down to look at the vehicle. So it's I'm going to need the help of everybody who knows anything about anything so it doesn't slip through our fingers.
I think one of the first things is maybe this might down the road involve the town council, town attorney figuring out what the legal, responsibility and.
Yeah, because if you're going to drive it in parades and stuff, it has to be registered and insured and have a title.
Yeah, we
I was
use
just gonna say, who has a title for this thing?
Well, do you need a title on something that's that old to register it anymore? I mean, I know, wasn't there something, but that's.
We had it registered. I don't, the sad thing about this too is that the guy that had all the knowledge and all the files on this was Bobby Hoppin. He was at Station 1, and he just passed away within the last 2 years. And I'm trying to work to get his family to see if they can go through his stuff and see if he's got any records on 00.
Is there a registration plate on it? That could probably be researched.
Not anymore. Not anymore. I don't think it's had a registration for the last 20, 25 years. Because we used to have antique plates on it.
I wonder if there are any pictures of it with the plate from the past.
I don't know if that's
something.
Pictures of the truck, but not with the license plate.
Yeah,
but I don't
even know if that'd be searchable. Like, I don't know where you would go. Does keep records back for 30? Who knows?
Yeah. And the registry's no help because you can't go to the registry for anything now.
Yeah. And I think that's more of a historical thing than a current. I don't know if they're going to keep license plates that are 50 years old or 40 years old even.
I could always ask Chief Ranieri as far as how it was registered, because he always kept records. Whether or not he had control over the vehicle, he knew what was going on.
Do you know approximately when it was turned over to the town? Because I'm just wondering if there was something that would be mentioned in an annual report, which might give us some information.
Yeah, I don't know that. I'm still trying to get a hold of all the paperwork from the Hoppin family.
I mean, that is something that could be gone through if it was used like 25 years ago. We could look back 25. I don't know how I don't think the historical commission reports can be that long in the annual report, and go through them and just see if it's mentioned in any of the annual reports. I've got them all at the library. That's a pretty simple thing to do.
Yeah, I know that I think the last time we took it was probably, I know in the early 80s, we did go late 70s, early 80s, we were using to go to parades and stuff. Now, whether
And at that point, it was still owned by the family?
it was still run by Station 1, we had plates on
Okay,
it and everything.
Okay.
But I'm going to dig deeper and see if I can
Okay.
find some information as to the how it was registered
Yeah.
and
This-
who registered it.
Yeah.
Because we took it everywhere. So I mean, we had. So I'm trying to dig up more information, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention. If anybody knows anybody that's got a heated garage, we got to get it out of where it is, because it's just gonna. I'll send you the pictures tonight. You
I
know,
mean, that's something that you could just put a call out to. Does anyone in town have a, or I don't know,
heated garage space.
that they're, that they're willing to donate for storage of some, I don't know if my garage is full of junk, so it ain't gonna happen here.
Yeah, like I said, we used to start at different firefighters' houses and aunts' houses and stuff like that, because they were heated garages. But I'm gonna have to dig a little deeper, but I'll let you know.
Okay.
The thought that I have is that I can't remember his first name. His last name is Moore.
Eddie Moore.
Eddie Moore.
I
And
was thinking about that.
a garage up in the corner of Maple and 140. But he may know of other places for that kind of a thing. And Kevin Meehan over in Milford who I guess has bought property here in Bellingham for whatever he's doing, might have another angle. And he is one person who is into renovating antique things. Might be a thought to ask him. Listen, guys, I gotta go. There's a medium rare steak waiting for me. We're in the middle of dinner.
All right.
Anybody see? Are you still there, right?
Yep.
Okay, I'm out of here. Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. So I'm gonna do some digging so I can have more answers for you guys. I just wanted to bring it to your attention that we do have something like that. And if you didn't mind, if I post the picture of the fire truck on, well, I could post it on the Historical Commission, but also post it on maybe the Bellingham community events or something like that, and just ask if anybody's got a heated garage that we would have access to. Not, where we could put it. In other words, that if we wanted to go down and look at it, we'd be able to get in and.
Okay, so right now, heated is not an issue right now for the summer. So can we wait on this until the heat becomes an issue? Then we might know more.
Yeah.
Just saying, because heating it is an issue right now, and then, maybe the fall then we might know a little more about where we are with it, and then. It might be even good, not the reaching out on Facebook is good, but maybe we ourselves talk it up to people to see if we can find someone, because do you really want everyone in the world to know whose garage it's in too? And not that I don't know. That's a different thing.
That's true. Yeah.
But I think if we have months to figure that out, because we won't need it heated till November or December probably, right?
Yeah. In a dry garage, because like I said, I don't know if this one is leaking, but that building is in pretty rough shape up on Pearl Street. The left side of the building, the brick is pulling away like it's going to fall. And like I said, they got the old engine 4 in there also, which was from Station 1, which is a brush truck. But that one is 1950. It's not a historically old.
I think the thing about this one is significant of it was the first fire chief and He
Yeah,
died
the first
in,
fire truck and the first fire chief died
right,
catching pneumonia on the way to a fire in this vehicle.
right,
So,
yeah.
in fact, what's happening in the town of Franklin, the Latta truck Bellingham had, it was a 1949 Latta truck, and Eddy Gazelle bought it, and he is donating it back to the town of Franklin next month because it originally came from them in 1949. They bought it brand new. So it's going back, and the fire chief has got a spot for it. So they have quite a few pieces of old fire memorabilia that's been refurbished and whatnot. So I know there's ways of doing stuff, but I just don't know how to do it, you know, to get it done. But that's why I threw it out there for you guys.
Just returning to that storage point, though, I mean, is there a reason to not try to, you know, just to spend the effort right now to try to find a home for it? And as far as who knows where it is, I don't think it's mobile, and it's not something that's highly desirable for.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if people know where it is, I don't think that's the worst thing
Okay.
ever. It's just a pile of metal at the moment.
Yeah, it's really not.
I mean, I was just bringing up the possibility, but I'm fine if we want to try to move it now. I mean, if you think the building it's in is a risk, even without heat isn't the issue, that's a different thing.
Yeah, the thing is that I know that building. I'm not saying that the next building's got to be alarmed, but that building is kind of in a secluded area, and I mean, anybody could break into that garage at any time. And like, again, I don't know if that roof leaks or not.
Yeah.
You know,
right. If that's an issue, I guess if it's not, if it's going to be more damaged by staying there, it's probably better to move it sooner rather than later.
in fact, that's what Jim Set was saying to me yesterday. He says, within the next few months, he says, you got to find another home for this. He says, you can't leave it here because it's rusting. He says, you know, at quite a rate.
Well, would it be worth it just to zap it with some zinc chromate primer?
Well, the thing is I don't know if you can. Yeah, it would.
You got to fix the rust first before you can put primer on it.
They're gonna have to.
Well, it's not primer. It's zinc chromate stuff that it's just designed to just cover the metal. It's not a primer like you'd ever paint over it, and it's, you know, it's like you do that for military stuff.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. I know he was saying that it would have to be sandblasted again, and then sealed, you know, and then go from there. And I know there's plenty of, like I said, he says it's 100%, you know, restoration is what's going to have to be done at this stage. But I said, is it too far gone? And he says, no, nothing is too far gone. He says, it's there. Everything is there. He says it can be restored. But I guess it all.
I mean, how big is this? Is it like a fire? Is it big like a fire? Is it small? I mean, it's like
nothing like,
what size?
like the ones we got now.
Yeah, I know that's. Is it like the size of an SUV, maybe more than a
size of a pickup truck?
Okay.
Or maybe even a little smaller than a pickup truck. But you know, I'll send you guys. I get your emails. I'll send you guys the pictures. A few of the pictures I took yesterday of it, so that you'll have it. And then, like I said, I'll dig around some more and see what I can get more information as to, you know, who owned it and whatnot.
You mentioned Franklin has some experience restoring fire stuff.
Yep.
Would it be worth the effort to maybe contact the Franklin Commission to see what they did? Or
I can contact the Franklin Fire Chief. Because I'm chaplain.
I mean, whoever does the restoration or whoever has the info,
what do they know about what happened? Yeah, that'd be good to find out.
Yeah, I'll find out. I'll ask the fire chief who did the restorations on their stuff, and maybe it was the town. I don't know, but I'll find out because like I said, I'm chaplain to Franklin and Medway too, so I'm involved with them all. So that is about it. Does anybody want to bring anything else up before we, you know, that's the end of the agenda list, but.
Yeah, I got a couple things if you don't mind. I hate to drag it out, Pat, too late, but so we talked about the monthly email, but when is Crimpville Comments due? Is there a regular schedule? And is there one that's pending?
I think Margaret said there was supposed to be one in the spring that has been skipped. Is that correct, Margaret?
Yeah, that's correct. There
Right.
should be another one in the fall.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we missed March.
Right.
Oh, and we've also missed the end of school.
Are they quarterly? They come out quarterly?
Yeah,
So it'd be
Season-
not
March
on a
and-
real good schedule.
So March and June, in theory, March and June were missed.
It was like, we always wanted to do it before the children were released for the summer vacation. And then again in the fall.
So they're distributed to the schools. To which school? Is it the high school or is it the
All of the schools,
all of the schools? Okay.
but not to all of the children. All of the third grade it's distributed to. And the other schools, they just have, for the teachers and lounge areas.
Okay. So copies are available at the others. Kind of like we get a stack at the library for the public too.
Right.
There's a phone number, the 966-5838. Where does that go?
To a voicemail, I believe, correct?
No idea.
That might be the phone in the museum itself.
Yeah, but what happens when you call it? Let me call it. What's the number again, Steve? I'll call it.
508
Yeah.
966-5838.
My phone book says that that's the historical museum.
See what happens. You hear it?
So it probably is an answering machine.
Let's see what we get. Because if it doesn't have an answering machine on it, we should have something. And someone should be checking it periodically.
I just hope nobody
It's
picked
full.
up.
We do get messages, so.
You do? Oh, okay.
Mm.
Is not available to take your call.
Okay, so there's a voice.
Please leave a message after the
Okay,
tone.
so it goes to a
Pound key
voicemail.
to end recording.
Okay, so it does go to a voicemail and you get the voice. So there is a way to retrieve the voicemails at the museum.
So who gets the messages? How to
Well, right now they're probably just sitting on the phone there till someone goes in. There is a capability through the town's phone system that I have that if I'm not at the library, I get an email with any voicemails I get that I can just listen to on my phone. So that might be something worth setting up, that someone gets an email whenever a message is left. Because then if we're not there for a few days, the phone call still gets through.
Well, can we put that on the agenda? Because I mean, I
Yeah.
would be pretty responsive, to people calling with inquiries.
I'd be happy to contact Karen and ask her to email voicemail messages to you. I'm good with that. I guess
Sure.
we should take a vote. Do we need to vote on that?
I don't think so.
Okay, so email voicemail messages to Steve. I'll send her your email address and she'll just set it up that anytime a voicemail comes in, you'll get an email that you can listen to.
That sounds great.
There's one on there now with a note on our desk. Somebody had called. I picked it up a couple of weeks ago. And I left a note on the desk.
Okay, so that won't be there because this is a from point forward thing. So someone will have to go in and see what that message is to
Right.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that I'm working on getting, I haven't finished up, is getting the website updated so all of our contact information, so people can actually just click on a link to send an email to any commission member who's interested in having their email linked there. I know I talked to Steve and Rick about theirs. So Franco, are you interested in people sending you emails directly if you're interested?
Yeah,
they,
Sure.
absolutely. Yeah,
if they want to contact you directly. So I'll have all of those linked with the emails that you guys have that I send the messages out, the links out to. And then if someone wants to contact a specific one of us, because sometimes people like to contact someone they know. So that will make it so they can contact individuals. So that's doable too.
I just got one other thing too to bring up. I know I probably mentioned to some of you. I got approached by Roland Arcan. I guess his wife was looking for me. She noticed that the sign outside the museum in the front was Ernie's name is all fallen off of it and everything like that. Now, does anybody know if that's the historical commission that got those signs, or is that the town? Do we have to go to Dennis and say, hey, Dennis, get that sign redone, you know?
They might have been originally done by the town when, because those were done when it was renamed in Ernie's honor, I believe. So I don't know if the town paid for that. I think that's a question for Dennis.
Yeah.
Or to inquire about the signs. And that might be something that we spend a little bit of money of our budget money on if we have to, next year to fix the signs, if we have to.
Yeah, if it has to come out of our budget or if the town does.
Yeah, I figure, yes, I can inquire from Dennis about what the next steps are on that, but that's, yeah, it does. The one that's on the Walgreens side looks okay.
That one
that's
looks
on
okay.
the one that's on the parking lot side looks pretty worn out.
Yeah, pretty worn out, yeah. Well, it looks like, I guess the town's they're gonna be taking part of that new park they just
Right,
built
yeah.
for the intersection, I guess.
Yeah.
So, when Domino's comes down.
It may be worth waiting to see if that happens, see what that's gonna look like. So maybe we can put a sign in a different spot that is a little more,
At a different angle.
it's a little more prominent that people can see it as opposed to having where they are now. So it might be worth waiting. That's worth asking. Is it worth waiting to do it till it's having a more prominent sign? That's what might be better,
Yeah, facing towards the street rather than a parking lot.
Right.
Mm.
Hey, Bernadette, does the Zoom that you have right now, is this like a paid subscription version that's through the town?
Yeah,
or-
well, it's this one here. Actually, I'm using the library. The town had one that I was using before. The library actually purchased one because we're doing all kinds of virtual programming. So I'm just using the libraries. I ran it by Karen. They were fine. The time was fine with me using the library one to do it. But yes, this one is owned by the library, but the town does have a Zoom account also.
Well, I was wondering, the reason why I ask is do we want to offer any virtual programming in the meantime, while we're still shut down? I've given a couple of talks, but they're PowerPoint driven and they could definitely be done virtually. I have one that's based on French neutrals that were forcibly removed to Bellingham during the French and Indian Wars.
Oh,
That'd
be great. So definitely that would probably have to be done through the town's account, but Karen we definitely have one. I could coordinate with her, so I'd probably have to log on and then I could make you a co-host because you have to have a Bellingham MA email to be a host, but I could host it and then just, turn it over to you. Yeah, I think that sounds great if we could start, because we could make a Facebook event to promote it. It might be worth, when's that? We have a week for the Bellingham Bulletin deadline. Maybe we wait till July to do it so we could get it in the Bellingham Bulletin and do it sometime in July. That'd be great.
So do we need a meeting or a motion or anything before then? It's June now.
I think probably the best thing for you, I don't know if you need a motion to have a program. I think we just all agree we want to do a program. There's no money being spent or any, thing. So what I would say is that pick the date, get a description out, and we can make a Facebook event telling people what it is, and then I'll contact Pam, Karen about setting up. We might have to look at the time. You might have to coordinate with me because the town can only have one Zoom session at a time. That's another reason the library bought its own, because every time we were trying to do something, it was interfering with what they already had scheduled. So you might have to pick a day and time that there's nothing else going on in town. So maybe you and I can coordinate that together.
Sure. Yeah, I'll sometime this week I'll send you over what I got.
Yeah. So you know how to use Zoom? Like you can share your screen on Zoom. You know how to do that for?
At my work, we use WebEx, but I'm sure I can figure it out.
Yeah, it just has a share your screen, but you could share the PowerPoint, and you could actually, be up in the corner talking and then still showing the screens or whatever you want people to see. So, and we could test it if you wanted to test it ahead of time. We could test it on Zoom, make sure it's working okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, that way we can test out passing off the presenter to me.
Right.
If you launch the session.
Right.
Yeah, that would be great. I have a handful of those, and I had been giving them to historical societies and stuff like that. Like I gave that one at Medfield and Franklin.
So maybe we try to do like a monthly one. Start in July and do a monthly. If you have a handful of them, it could be a few months of a series or something.
Sure.
That's great. That's great. That's a good way to start getting word out. If everyone shares it, they'll people will definitely will tune in to see what's going on. Yeah, I think you do it on a weeknight at like 7:30 or 8 o'clock or something. When people are done dinner and people are done dinner and ready to to learn something.
Oh, sounds good to me.
That sounds really good.
Sounds really good. Does anybody have anything else? If not, we can
Yeah.
make the next meeting would be July 13th, 6 p.m.
Is this Mondays? We voted last time on Mondays, and 6 o'clock is
Monday.
good for most people. That's good. Okay.
Second Monday of the month.
Yeah, that's what we said. Second Monday of the month.
Second Monday of the month, that would be July 13th.
Yeah. Okay. So do you need a motion to adjourn?
Yes, I do.
I'll make a motion. We adjourn.
Okay.
And I guess I'll just
I'll
do
second
the
that.
usual second.
Okay. Motion's been made and second. All those in favor?
All right.
And it's 7:16 p.m. Okay.
All set.